Good morning, everyone. Today we're checking out a brand new video from Prog Magic to see what would the legendary Pokemon of California look like. Let's hop in and see what the designs are. And from what I can tell from the thumbnail, it looks like we are going to have one that's at least some kind of Sunbell.
What if there were legendary Pokemon based on Los Angeles, California? Well, let's explore what those might look like in my custom Pokemon region, Alea. Hey everyone, Brandon here.
Hey,
Allow me
Brandon.
to tell you a little story. There once was a rodent that stood before a raging river, looking to cross. It stood nervously, not knowing what to do. Just then, a large bear appeared from the tree line behind the rodent.
Ooh.
Move, grumbled the bear, as the rodent watched the lumbering grizzly ford the river, its large, strong frame making it look easy. As the bear disappeared
Incredible.
into its cave set deep in the mountain, the rodent said to itself, "If only I were as strong as the bear, I could cross the river." After a little
Well, you
time
can-
had passed, a mighty
Yeah, while being strong is good, you can also be clever.
bird flew into sight, high over the river, following its path, landing in a tree across the river from the rodent. This caused the rodent to hide in the forest, to avoid being the bird's next meal. The bird then disappeared into the clouds, bringing the rodent out of hiding. The rodent then said, "If only I had wings like the bird, I could fly across the river." Sometime later, the rodent's friend, the stag, showed up, looking to cross the river as well. "You haven't crossed the river yet? It's easy. Watch," said the stag, which then gracefully leapt to a rock halfway through the river. At that point, the rodent said to itself, "If only I were as graceful as the stag, then
Okay, I think I see what's going to happen. And we're going to have four legendaries. One of strength, one of flight, one of grace, and then one of what I'm hoping is wisdom,
I
cleverness.
could leap across the river."
Something.
But just then, when the stag leapt to try to cross the rest of the river, its hooves slipped, falling into the water and being carried away, disappearing into the raging current. A short while later,
Yikes.
the stag appeared across the river, but instead of its normal brown color, it was a striking white. The rodent then realized it wasn't his friend anymore, but their ghost.
Ah, it
The
died.
rodent took a moment,
Damn.
sitting back in the forest, looking at what lay across the
Kinda
river
sad.
for it, and said, "There are bears, birds, and ghosts across that river. Why would I want to go there?" It then turned around and went home. This story is an old
Well, never
Alean
mind.
tale, showing the importance of learning from others' paths or mistakes, and to not compare yourself to others. It might just mean your end. It is also based on the 4 legendaries of the Alea region, 2 of which
Ah, I was right. Four legendaries.
being our box legends for Pokemon Lapis and Pokemon Garnet. So allow me to introduce Kalandor, the over Pokemon, and
Clearly based on a condor.
Alwazli, the under Pokemon. I worked with Fugusmon to
Ooh.
create these 2 and the other legends in this
I
video,
like
so
them.
make sure to
They're
check
really
out their
good.
link in the description. The color schemes of these Pokemon in relation to their logos is a lot more subtle than most legends, mainly residing
It's
in their
the
eyes.
eyes.
But as they say, eyes are the window to the soul.
That
And so
is
let's
true.
show what's in their soul by explaining their origins. After you hit those like and subscribe buttons to see more content just like this.
You hold them.
So let's
hit
begin
those
with
buttons.
Kalandor, who is pure flying type. Its main inspiration comes from the California condor, an enormous New World vulture,
Oh, damn.
being the largest North American land bird. It became
That is
extinct in the
big.
wild in 1987 when all of the living wild population were put in captivity. But the population has since been rehabilitated and reintroduced in northern Arizona, southern Utah, the coastal mountains of California, and northern Baja California in Mexico.
That is
Kalandor
awesome.
also pulls a bit from the bald eagle, which felt fitting to add with it being a major symbol of the US and with the condor actually being bald. Kalandor's name comes from Calafia,
That's pretty good.
a fictional queen of the island of California. First introduced in 1510 by Garcia Rodriguez de Montalvo in his epic novel, The Adventures of Esplandian. Calafia is the namesake of California,
okay.
though this California is instead found off the coast of Asia. Calafia was described as a pagan warrior queen, who led an army of
Whoa.
griffin-riding women into battle. Though the California of this novel is different than the one we know today, Calafia has been adopted as an icon of the state, becoming known as the Spirit of California,
I could
with a
see
mural
why.
of her being able
She's
to be found
powerful.
at the state capitol building in Sacramento. This mural was actually a major basis in Kalandor's design, with the wings coming up to look like rays of sunlight peeking out from behind clouds.
Aha.
The inner white part of the condor's wings reminded me of little clouds in the vastness of the sky. The condor's impressive size and resilience, alongside the might of a griffin-riding pagan queen, made for a perfect basis for a legendary Pokemon.
Completely,
But
I
the
could
inspirations
see
don't
that.
stop there. Kalandor, as the over Pokemon, represents the sky, and more specifically, the realm above the sky, also known as
Wait. So this one, like you're saying, is above. It represents the sky and the heavens. The bell is the under Pokemon, meaning it would represent and like the earth and the ground below it. The stag clearly would have to represent death and the afterlife, seeing as how it died and became a ghost. So it would be representing the realm beyond. But then you have that little rodent. Would that thing be representing the world that is now? The current realm? Life?
The heavens, Elysium, or the good place. Many different versions of a paradise
Good job.
after death exist across the world, and in its design, Kalandor definitely
That's
channels
Olympus.
the realm of the Greek pantheon above Mount Olympus, but specifically the Disney incarnation from Hercules. Also, lapis lazuli roughly translates to the stone of heaven or the stone of the sky, with the blue and gold of the stone translating to the eyes and wings of Kalandor.
If many of y'all are wondering, wait, how does that actually make sense? I'd recommend going to check out Game Theory and their series on Minecraft because they've been talking about lapis lazuli a lot in that series. I'm not kidding. Go check it out.
Many modern depictions
lot.
of vultures make them out to be antagonistic or outright villainous, but the California condor is just so majestic that I wanted to subvert expectation and make it a beacon of goodness. Plus, in many native cultures, vultures
that's
represent
awesome.
cleansing, healing, and rebirth, purifying the decay from the world due to their scavengerous nature. I know many are going to ask, well then why not make it part fairy type? Well, spoilers, both box legends are single-typed, and we haven't had a single-typed box legend since Xerneas, unless you count Zacian and Zamazenta in their unarmored forms. We also haven't seen two single-typed box legends since Kyogre and Groudon, so I wanted to buck the trend of the last few generations. On top of all that,
So if this guy's flying, the bear would probably be ground type, would be my guess.
one type can represent multiple things at once without needing another type. With that said, I
That is
do have
true.
a nod to that we will discuss later. Legends say that Kalandor was born in a nest made of clouds, and that it keeps those very clouds within its plumage as a reminder of where it came from. Kalandor
Aw,
resides atop Mount
that's
Arcadia
nice.
on the west side of Alea, where it watches over the entire region, cleansing the air of any impurities using its mighty, lustrous wings. This is an example of its signature move, Glistening Wing, a base 100 flying type special attack, which removes any hazards from the
Ooh.
field and removes any status conditions from its allies.
I
It
like-
would also
I
have
like.
the new signature ability, Heavenly Body, which protects it from status conditions and slightly raises the power of fairy type moves. So there you go. We have a little fairy type affinity thrown in there to add to its Heavenly Light reference.
And
On the
that's
opposite end
perfect.
of the spectrum, we have a Wasley, which is a pure
Rock. I was close.
rock type. This legend's main inspiration is the California grizzly or brown bear. This species of bear has long since gone extinct, with the last
Aw,
one
that's a
being
shame.
hunted down in August of 1922. Though there were some sightings reported in 1925, thereafter these grizzlies were never seen again in California. This golden gray-furred bear still endures as a symbol on the California flag. Not only does it remain a
Oh,
symbol of the
that's
state,
right.
it may actually be the basis of the name Yosemite, originating from the Awanichi word Usumati, which directly refers to the bear. Though the Awanichi people
Okay, that's
refer to
awesome.
the Yosemite Valley as Awani, loosely translating to gaping mouth. And the mouth in question is thought to be the maw of a bear, which is where Awasley gets part of its name. You can see
Okay,
Awasley's
that's
mouth
cool.
is wide open to reference this, while also being reminiscent of the caves bears are known to reside within, being at
Nice,
the base of
nice.
the mountain atop its back. Speaking of, the Awanichi were a band of the Mino and Miwok people, and there is a Miwok tale about how the El Capitan summit was formed. There were two bear cubs that did not heed their mother's advice and wandered off, both falling asleep atop a boulder. As they slept, the rock began to grow and grow, eventually
Wait.
becoming an enormous mountain which they were now trapped atop of. So
Okay, I was about to ask, wait, that doesn't make any sense, but, alright, I remember then. It's a kid's story. It's not meant to make sense.
Awasley is a combination of the
Meant to be
mountain and the
entertainment.
bears that were trapped atop it. Like Kalandor, Awasley has a gold motif, but rather than representing the golden sunlight, these veins represent actual gold veins beneath the earth, and refer to the California gold rush.
There's gold in that damn bell!
Which led to the sudden and rapid growth of the state's population in the mid-1800s. The way the gold flows above its mountainous back also looks a bit like honey, which bears are notorious for enjoying.
Yeah,
The combination
that
of gold
does
and
look
the
like honey,
cave
a
mouth
little.
of Awasley also works as a reference to the Cave of Wonders from Aladdin. And
Ooh,
yes, that
badass.
means both legends make reference to animated Disney movies from the 90s, which, as I've said before, Disney Animation Studios got its start in California. Most of Awasley's body being beneath the mountain on its back also makes reference to a mythological people known as Lemurians, who are said
The
to live
what?
underneath Mount Shasta, in a hidden city known as Telos, which was said to be a city of light and opulence, with
Never
four
heard of
floors
it.
and jeweled walls, with the Lemurians walking its surface in white robes, hence the white and gold
That's
coloration on
not
Owazi,
actually too bad.
which looks like the snow-capped peak of Mount Shasta. I realize this combo of bear plus white definitely gives off polar bear vibes, but you can just think of it as a similar situation to Hisui and Avalugg, who refers to the melting polar ice caps. So naturally, with Kalando representing the sky and heavens, Owazi represents caves and the underworld, also known as Hades, Hell, or the Bad Place. The afterlife has many
Okay, so I was a little off. Looks like the rodent will be representing Earth in the living realm. The bear is representing Hell itself.
eternal suffering-based depictions, so this Pokemon represents those, while still having a touch of purity.
Whoa, wait a minute. That means that the stag wouldn't be representing the afterlife, because we have heaven and hell, so it would be representing limbo.
Thanks to its Lemurian inspiration. As such, its main ability would be called Undercoat. You like that double entendre? Anyway, it works basically the same as Heavenly Body, where it is protected against status conditions and slightly raises the power of Dark-type moves. It would definitely gain access to moves like Bite and Crunch with that gaping mouth it has, so this ability would help those do more damage. And I'm gonna hit you with another double entendre, as its signature move would be called Ender Bite, with an Ender Bite being a form of igneous rock essentially consisting of quartz. This move would basically be a more powerful rock-type combination of Crunch and Jaw Lock. A base 100 physical attack where the target would have a chance to flinch and would be prevented from switching out or fleeing a battle. Owazi resides in the Abaddon Cave on the east side of Alea, where it seeks out impurities within the earth and consumes them, absorbing and purifying them within its body. You can actually see this process happening within the gold veins across Owazi's body. As you can probably surmise, these two have a theme of pollution within their dex entries. Most major cities have the issue of pollution of the land and air within and around it.
That is a downside.
Making legends that prevented Alea from becoming like real-life major cities would be an interesting route to take. And I would love it if you took a route down to that join button to become a member. You get amazing benefits like videos early, all the while helping me pay the artists I work with for these videos. So go ahead and hit that join button now. But that still leaves two animals from the story we have yet to talk about. So allow me to introduce Fantlier, the supernatural Pokemon, a pure ghost type. This legend's main inspiration is the California cryptid known as the Ghost Deer, though that's a bit of a misnomer as it's actually described to be a large white elk. It supposedly resides on Mount Eddy in Northern California. Hunters who have witnessed the cryptid reported that their bullets passed right through the animal when they shot at it, with the ghost deer disappearing into the forest afterward. The likely explanation is the hunters encountered an elk with albinism and weren't as good of a shot as they thought. But who knows, maybe it was a ghost. So with Kalando and Owazi representing different directions of the afterlife, over or under, Fantlier with its ghost typing and cryptid basis represents the supernatural or spirit realms. The limbo between life and the afterlife that spirits reside between. The wisps around Fantlier's ankles are meant to look like rope, like how a deer might become trapped, showing how this Pokemon's spirit is still bound to this realm rather than moving on to the next. The golden antlers of Fantlier, while falling in line with the gold of the other legends, refers to a legendary deer or goat from Sylvanian folklore known as Goldhorn, which just like the ghost deer is white and lives atop a mountain. But the main difference is that Goldhorn has its shimmering golden horns that were highly sought after, as they were the key to finding the treasure hidden within the mountains around its home, Mount Triglav. As such, Fantlier is known to traverse the mountains across Alea at night, residing at different parts depending on which day it is. It is said to carry potent spiritual energy with it, such that many ghost-type Pokemon will flock to its location, acting
even Spiritomb with its 108 souls
as a barrier from those who seek to exploit Fantlier's power. This spiritual energy is actually its ability, Ghostly Surge, creating a new type of terrain, Ghostly Terrain, that increases the power of Ghost-type moves by 30% and increases the likelihood that a move will cause flinch. This would work in tandem with its signature move, Haunted Horn, which is a base 80 special attack that can both go through shields and has a 20% chance to flinch the target. Fantlier would also learn other horn-based moves like Horn Leech and Mega Horn, given those are a major part of its design. So last but not least, we have the rodent of the tail, which is none other than Squirrel, the natural Pokemon, a pure normal type. Of course, with Fantlier representing the supernatural world, Squirrel represents the natural world,
the
realm of the living, aka the real world. There is no afterlife,
so there's heaven, hell, spirits, and the earth
without first having life, which is the center point between the heavens and the hells. the middle between the over and under. So Squirrel acts as the bridge between these realms, with its gold-adorned tail reflecting a bridge, which itself is a reference to the world-famous Golden Gate Bridge of San Francisco. There are multiple myths across the world of squirrels being guides or messengers between realms, such as the famous Ratatoskr who climbs up and down the world tree Yggdrasil, and black squirrels in both Celtic and indigenous folklore were associated with the otherworld. Also in the Ramayana, a squirrel helps Lord Rama across a vast ocean, playing a significant role in the building of the bridge to Lanka, after which Rama blesses it with 3 white stripes down its back, which can be seen in the glowing golden white stripes along Squirrel's tail. As such, this Pokemon traverses across Alea's plains and forests.
I'll be honest, this squirrel actually kind of reminds me of the one from Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess. Hold on. After going and looking at the spit, it looks like it's not actually a squirrel, but some type of lemur. So, whoops, made a mistake.
Maintaining the natural order of the Pokemon world. The seed in its hands, while also acting as a reference to Yggdrasil, is the basis for its signature move, Realm Seed.
You know, I notice he says Yggdrasil. I say Yggdrasil.
A normal type physical attack that does 1 of 5 types of damage.
Ooh.
Electric, Fairy, Ass, Psychic, and Ghost. The types
Not
of the
bad.
terrains, including the new one Fantlier just introduced. The move will pick the type based on what will do the most damage. Kind of like if Flying Press was a 5-type move instead of 2. I thought the idea of a move that channeled the power of terrains to represent different realms of existence was incredibly fitting given Squirrel's inspirations.
That is very
inversely,
fitting.
Squirrel's new ability, Reality Check, makes it so terrain effects cannot be active while it's on the field, canceling out the Surge abilities. If Squirrel leaves the battlefield, whether by switching out or fainting, at that time the Surge abilities will activate. Squirrel, while being based on messengers between realms, is the natural Pokemon, so keeping the terrain from being changed made the most sense. I mean, I could have made a normal terrain, I suppose, but the most normal thing is for there to be no terrain.
Exactly.
So how did these legends appear in Pokemon Lapis and Garnet? Well, obviously, Kalandor is a Lapis exclusive, and Awazli is a Garnet exclusive. And actually, where you begin the game is different depending on the version. In Lapis, you start east and head west towards Kalandor's domain, and in Garnet, you start west and move east towards Awazli's domain. But what about Fantlier and Squirrel? Well, those would be available in both games and act like roaming Pokemon. But since this is more of a modern Pokemon game, you wouldn't have to worry about random encounters, and would actually be able to see if they're around. They would venture around certain locations depending on which day of the week it is. But that means these little legends form trios in and of themselves. With Kalandor, Fantlier and Squirrel form a reference to Norse mythology, with Kalandor acting as Hraesvelgr, the eagle-shaped Jotun, Fantlier acting as the forest stags of Yggdrasil that feast upon its branches, and Squirrel obviously
Fun fact about each of those stags, they're meant to represent seasons. One is winter, spring, summer, and fall.
Acting as Ratatoskr, as I mentioned before. I know that the Gen 6 box legends are based on
Nidhogg,
these specific Norse creatures, but these group themes aren't meant to be the main inspirations and are more like a fun little nod. With that being said, with Awazli, Fantlier and Squirrel act as a reference to a story from the Cree people called The Deer and the Squirrel, where a reindeer is in charge of naming all the animals. When it asks what the squirrel wants to be called, the squirrel says it wants to have a name like the bear. The deer then tells the squirrel it's too small to have a name like the bear. This makes the squirrel so sad that it cries until its eyelids become white. Which you'll now notice that Squirrel's eyelids are white to reference this. Also, the box legends are represented by carnivores, with them consuming pollution in one way or another, and the other two represent herbivores, changing or maintaining the landscape around them.
Not just that, but I just realized, while these two have, Lapis and Garnet eyes, Fandeel has like purple eyes, almost spiritual eyes. While Squirrel has regular brown eyes, like most people that live upon the earth.
Legendary of the Alea region was your favorite? Let me know. And with that, we're done with the Alea region for now. But don't worry, another new region will be there to replace it next month. And it's going to be a fun one. A huge thank you to our amazing members who go that extra mile to support the channel.
Yeah, big shout out to everyone that can support this channel, and a big shout out to you, Brandon, for being able to create so many regions. Like, damn, man. Alright, everyone, that's going to be the end of today's video, and I hope you all enjoyed this. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe for more. Link to the original will be in the description below, and I'll see all of y'all next time when we flick back on. Until then, this is Fox, signing out. Peace.